A key White House role, Donald Trump choosing Gary Sachs to lead the White House National Economic Council. That's wrong, right?
Gary Cohn.
Gary Cohn, yeah. I'm reading it wrong.
I wonder who he's talking to. He just wrapped up that call.
So who is Gary Cohn, and is he the right pick? Here to break it all down, Stuart Varney, host of Varney & Company on the Fox Business Network. Gary Cohn is one of the guys who runs Goldman.
Oh, yes, he is. He's the president and chief operating officer. He operates the company.
Does this mean he has to leave that big salary?
Yes, he does. Yes, he does. But I think he's a wealthy man anyway.
Okay.
But look, point number one, he's another hands-on business guy appointed to a top position by Donald Trump. Remember, he's not an academic. This is real economics, not classroom economics, and that's a big difference. Number two, hold on a second. Number two, he's a Goldman Sachs guy. Another Goldman Sachs guy. Add him to the list of Steve Mnuchin, who goes to the Treasury, Steve Bannon, senior counsel. These are all Goldman Sachs people. You're talking really about government Sachs at this point.
Wow.
And that's going to be very unpopular with liberals.
Well, that maybe with some Republicans too. Do you think that sends a signal to the stock market we're going to start undoing Dodd-Frank to loosen up some of the regulations that have been choking us to death?
Yes, exactly that. Dodd-Frank was the Financial Reform Act passed by the Obama administration, which saddled Wall Street and the banking industry with an enormous level of regulation.
But they did deserve some regulation because they crashed the economy.
But not necessarily that. Not necessarily that. I thought you should have broken up the big banks as opposed to just regulate them to death. You want a functioning banking system, and we don't have it at the moment.
Sure.
We don't have it. I want some change there, and these Goldman Sachs people may well be the ones who do it for us. But can I just remember one thing?
Surely.
Goldman Sachs changed the rules back in September of this year about who their top executives could support. They changed the rules so that those executives could not give money to Donald Trump, only to Hillary Clinton.
How is that legal?
And, well, you change the rules internally, you can do it. They can do what they like. So he got Donald Trump going with the people who were not allowed to contribute to him. That's crossing the aisle.
Okay, it's 20 minutes after the top of the hour. Later today, we could actually hit 20,000 in the stock market. That would be unbelievable.
Today or tomorrow, it looks a distinct possibility. We're only 200 points away from 20,000. We will open this morning up 60 points. So we've probably got, 140-odd points to go. That's doable very soon.
Coming up next on MSNBC, the downside of prosperity. Thanks a lot.
That was good.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, time now for some news by the numbers. First, 131. That's how many votes President-elect Donald Trump picked up in the Wisconsin recount. Mr. Trump tweeting, the final Wisconsin vote is in, and guess what? We just picked up an additional 131
so the recount
votes.
Benefited him.
The Dems and Green Party can now rest. Scam. Sorry, Jill. And 20 weeks. That's how long American Express employees will now receive in paid maternity leave. The deal is extended to mothers, fathers, and even part-time employees. And finally, number one, California topping the list of the worst state for drivers. A study of Bankrate.com finding the beautiful roads hugging the Pacific coastline aren't worth the price of gasoline or insurance. Worst state for drivers.
President-elect Donald Trump has a message this holiday season.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Merry Christmas. We're going to start saying Merry Christmas again.
Here to react is Reverend Franklin Graham. Thank you so much for being with us, Reverend.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you. And you know what? I've got a shoebox with me. We're collecting 12 million of them this year. And these are going to children in 130 different countries. And this one's for a girl. But we pack them for all ages. We have about 300,000 volunteers.
Let's look at what else you got in there.
Crayons, toothbrush, little hat, school supplies.
Because for some children, this is going to be the only gift they get.
The only gift they get. It's called Operation Christmas Child. It's part of Samaritan's Purse. And we do this every year. The first year we started, we had 11,000 boxes. This year it'll be 12 million. And so 134 million total. But every box, I want the children of the world to know that God loves them, that he hasn't forgotten them, and that Jesus Christ came to this earth to take our sins, and that he died on a cross and God raised him to life. And I want the children of the world to know that you can invite Christ into your heart and your life can be changed for eternity.
So we don't have to pack that box ourselves. We could not do it that neat. You have a system for people can donate, right?
Absolutely. And it's Operation Christmas. You can go to SamaritansPurse.org and you can learn all about it. But we never have enough boxes. You say, well, you got 12 million this year. That is not enough. There's a lot more children.
How much is it? You donate, you give money on Samaritan's Purse, is that right?
What they do is, if this time of year, because it's getting close to Christmas, you can go online and you can actually pack a box online.
Yeah.
And it's called Build a Box, and you can do it right online. And we ask people to help pay for the shipping. That's $7 to ship the box. But if you took that to UPS and said send that to Pakistan for $7, maybe 107, but
right.
Well, you've been doing this for many, many years, and we're happy. Folks can go to our website, foxandfriends.com, and we will link to yours. Going back to the first soundbite we had, Donald Trump said, we're going to say Merry Christmas again.
Right, sure.
For years, corporate America has kind of washed Merry Christmas from the public square along with government entities and instead put in Happy Holidays. Where do you weigh in on all that?
Well, first of all, if somebody said to me Happy Hanukkah, I'm going to say Happy Hanukkah back to them. If somebody says Merry Kwanzaa, I'm going to say right back to them. If it's another person's holiday, I'm going to celebrate it with them and say hello. But what it is, it's Christmas. It's the name of Jesus Christ. And for Christmas, this is a Christian holiday. But what the world is, they hate the name of Christ. And that's why they want to take Christ out of Christmas. They want to say Happy Holiday.
Sure.
But I'm going to leave Christ's name in it because it's his birthday. This is a Christian holiday. So when the Muslims want to celebrate one of their holidays, I don't object and celebrate with them.
And Reverend, the evangelical community played such a vital role in Donald Trump's election. What are they expecting back?
Well, I think we will want him to name good people into the cabinet. I think it's some of the moral issues that we as Christians are concerned about, at least that we be at the table and have a chance to speak into those issues. Things like abortion, same-sex marriage, these are issues that are important to us. The moral issues, and I think he's picking a good cabinet. I support Donald Trump. I think he's going to make a good president, and we need to be praying for him. And I want to encourage Christians who voted for him now to keep praying that God would guide and direct him in all that he does, because the decisions he makes are going to affect our lives for a long time.
All right,
I know.
Reverend Graham, thank you. Give your love to your dad for us.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
And Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
All right. Coming up.
Yeah, coming up straight ahead. That was you thought The View was already off the air, right? Well, it's always been bad. Now it got worse.
A Fox News alert. Former Secretary of Defense Bob Gates just issued a statement on President-elect Donald Trump's pick for Secretary of State. He says, I strongly endorse the President-elect's selection of Rex Tillerson to be the next Secretary of State. He would bring to the position vast knowledge, experience, and success in dealing with dozens of governments and leaders in every corner of the world.
So interesting, because he's probably the most experienced person who's worked in more administrations than anybody else I know. He defined the establishment, and yet you go outside the establishment to get Rex Tillerson, and maybe backed up the story that he endorsed him. He was the one who brought him up.
He and Condi Rice in the month of November went and talked to Donald Trump, said, hey, if you're looking for people, Rex Tillerson, deal maker, got a lot of contacts around the world. Ultimately, that's what Donald Trump decided. They made it official with the nomination announcement earlier today.
That's exactly right. Well, it's the heart of the Rust Belt, and Wisconsin hadn't voted Republican for nearly 3 decades until this year.
And today, President-elect Donald Trump is thanking them as part of his thank you tour in West Allis, Wisconsin.
And that is where Pete Hegseth is now talking to those voters at Johnny V's in West Allis. He's taken a break from his gigantic breakfast buffet, and now he's going to talk to the folks, some in sweater vests.
It's true. I should get that time back, which I think I will eventually get for that challenge. But we're taking the pulse of the people. What do they think about Donald Trump winning this state, which Republicans had won for so long, and how do they feel about how he's doing so far? Reed, good morning.
Good morning.
And Reed, what do you do?
I'm an inventor and consultant.
So an inventor and a consultant who is a Republican who voted for Trump. How do you feel like he's doing so far?
I think he's making great decisions so far.
And why do you say that?
Well, he's a man that's written paychecks before, and he's bringing people onto his team that have good judgment, know how to solve problems, that want to represent the American people, not just their own selfish interests.
Well, speaking of selfish interest, what do you make of the recount effort, those trying to discredit Mr. Trump at this point?
Total folly.
Yeah, I mean, the vote didn't change. What are they trying to do?
That will remain a mystery.
And what do you hope, if it's one thing you want to see him accomplish as president, what would it be?
Well, probably two things if I get a bonus question. One, I want to see him make the VA great again, and I know that's an interest of yours, but I would say the Supreme Court picks are paramount.
Interesting. Thank you, Reed. Appreciate it. We got over here another gentleman. Gentleman, what's your name?
Corey.
Corey, and what do you do?
Work for sales for a company called Chris Hansen.
So you're in sales here in West Dallas or in the area. How do you feel about Donald Trump and how he's done so far?
Well, I think that he's the type of leader that's going to surround himself with the people that know a little bit more about those specific areas than what he does. So I think he's doing a really nice job of filling his cabinet up with the type of secretaries that's going to hopefully try to move this country forward.
And as we were talking before, you said you didn't necessarily vote for him. It was, in some ways, it was a rejection of Hillary Clinton. But in light of that, how hopeful are you that he's going to be able to accomplish what he said he wants to do?
Well, I'm real hopeful that he'll be able to get done what he wants to do. But yeah, I think that as we consider where we're at with the country, $19 trillion in debt, I think it's a really great move to have a businessman that's actually wrote paychecks before and balanced budgets to try to move the country ahead.
And one last question. What do you make of the recount effort, them trying to muddy the waters with that?
Yeah, Wisconsin's been scarred by politics here since the Walker recall, and it changed nothing, and it will continue to change nothing. But moreover, I think it validated exactly what we already knew.
Hear that? It changed nothing. Well, it did change 131 votes, but toward Mr. Trump instead. Ma'am, how are you this morning?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's your name and what do you do?
I'm Rochelle. I'm a bartender.
Very nice. And did you vote for Mr. Trump?
I did.
And how do you feel like he's doing so far?
I feel he's doing pretty good so far. He's trying to tackle the issues before even getting into office, so that's great.
Yeah, what did you make about the carrier deal where he went in there and saved those 1,100 jobs?
I liked how he just came in and took charge, you know. You need somebody in the White House that's going to do that, so...
Do you feel like he's almost already president? He's sort of stepping up to the mantle?
Yeah, he is. He's already... good. I mean, he's doing the steps, and he's just doing a good job so far.
Yeah, the gentleman over here talked about how Wisconsin's been scarred by politics a little bit, a lot of recount. What do you... the attempt by some Democrats and others to make it look like, you know, he didn't win fair and square?
Well, I mean, it's just proving what we already know. So, you know, besides 131 votes that we didn't actually know about. So it's a good thing.
And if there's one thing you want to see him accomplish when he steps into office, what would it be?
Just bringing a lot more jobs back.
Jobs. There you hear it. Jobs, issues, and across the spectrum, there's been a lot of satisfaction with the picks that the president-elect has made so far. You hear outside the box, you hear businessman and CEO and success, which I think really resonates with the folks here, and they look forward to hearing from him from the podium tonight.
That's right, and Trump is heading your way out into Wisconsin. Pete, thank you very much. Back to your gigantic breakfast.
Thank you.
It's always great to talk to the folks, because those are the reasons. That's real America.
Yeah.
Midwesterners, they're such nice people. I want to hear like what they expect for this country, for Donald Trump, why they voted for him.
Because we, not real.
Well, you're not real.
You have a choice. On television, you could either listen to the pundits or the people. The pundits got every single thing wrong with this election. Ultimately, it was the people who decided, and it's great that Pete's out there.
Heather, as we toss to you, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I believe that Pete is wearing what's advertised on our channel, an untucked shirt.
Oh,
untucked
yes.
shirt. I believe, because I was given the Wonder Wallet off our channel as a gift. I believe Pete capitalized on the untucked shirt.
Exactly, and it's the kind that lets you breathe under the arms.
Exactly.
Which is
Exactly. It has
exactly
like air. It has air holes.
Yeah, that's
under
what they advertise.
Do not tuck it in.
Yeah.
Untuck it.
Looks great, Pete. Oh,
There
as
he
he
is.
fixes his hair
You
there.
have to untuck it, because it's the only way you'll fit in your clothes after you eat all that.
Wow, look at all that food.
Look at him.
That's how folks
Too
eat
bad that
Wisconsin.
untucked shirt doesn't come with a bib the way
Right?
he eats.
I will
Exactly.
say, isn't it the best to have elastic waist pants and an untucked shirt?
That's the best part.
Right.
One of the best things about being
That's
pregnant
what's good.
is getting to wear those
A lot of the
stretchy
mobsters
pants
do
all the
that.
time.
A lot of the mobsters do that. They wear a sweatsuit all day.
As you get older, you just dress for comfort.
So why can't the FBI and CIA seem to get their story straight? Let me factor in the National Intelligence Director also doesn't agree with either one of them. Let's ask former CIA guy, he's an officer himself, Mike Baker. Mike, does this surprise you that the CIA and FBI have different conclusions?
No. It surprises me that Senator Schumer, who's a very well experienced and bright guy, is surprised that the FBI and the CIA wouldn't necessarily agree. There's no rule that says, and there shouldn't be, that says the FBI, primarily a law enforcement entity, and the CIA, an intelligence organization, need to always come up with the same conclusions. In fact, you don't want that. You want them looking at information and drawing up an assessment based on their best informed opinions.
So the Washington Post said this on how the FBI and CIA differ. It says the Bureau, true to its law enforcement roots, wants facts and tangible evidence to prove something beyond all reasonable doubt. The CIA is more comfortable drawing inferences from behavior. Does that really builds on what you just said?
Right. Look, it's very complicated. We could spend all day talking about this, but I'll wait till we get our families together for Christmas Eve dinner, as we always do. But what this means is that the agency, the raw intelligence comes in from the officers out in the field. It gets into the system inside the CIA. The reports guys, they write it up. The analysts then take it. They combine it with all the other intel that's coming in from the various pieces. And then they make an assessment, right? That's their job. An analyst, that's his job. He or she makes the estimate, the assessment. It goes out into the White House. And this is based on, the tasking that comes from the White House. Once it gets into the White House, once it gets with the National Security Advisor and his team or her team, then, that's where people talk about how it becomes politicized. Well, sure, yes, because there's an editorial process where they start picking and choosing what they're going to pay attention to. And it's not just the current administration or the next administration, it's the previous administration and down through the ages since the beginning of the U.S. intel system.
So, Mike Flynn, Lieutenant General, he's going to be National Security Advisor to be for President-elect, in 2015 came out and said, listen, the CIA under President Obama has been politicized, dismissing a lot of its conclusions. Have you heard that? Does he have a case there? That's before he got this job.
Right. No, and to be fair, General Flynn, who's extremely well experienced and very capable individual, he's had his differences with the CIA, both when he was in the military and now that he's out. It's not always been a smooth relationship. And in part, when he was with DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, he was looking to put more responsibility to the DIA. It was his turf. And so he was trying to take some of that, responsibility from the CIA in a sense. Right. But he's had this rocky relationship. Has the CIA become politicized? Well, you know what, frankly, and people are going to expect me to say this because I'm subjective. I worked there for a long time. No, I think at the very top you have a political appointee, Director Brennan, who's been with the agency for a long time and has been working now with the Obama administration, has a very close relationship with President Obama. So people are going to say, well, that's political. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I don't know. It's above my pay grade. I can tell you the people that work inside the agency just march on with the tasking. Whichever administration is in charge, those people work constantly just to deliver the intelligence through the system. Once it gets outside the CIA, yes, there's a political element to this, and the people on both sides are going to pick and choose this thing to death, and they're going to make their own case.
All right, Mike, thanks so much. I know Mike Pompeo, a lot of people are behind him running the CIA. I had Mike Baker, and I put a lot of money on it, and you cost me and my family. So I'm not happy you're not running the CIA. Mike Baker, thanks so much.
Do me a favor, Brian. Don't cheap out this year on your Secret Santa gift, all right?
I know. I got to hit the limit. You're right, and I have done that in the past. Thank you, Mike Baker. All right, coming up straight ahead, a startling stat about health in America today. Life expectancy plummets as Obamacare prices skyrocket. Is that a coincidence? One doctor says, no, it isn't.
It is a startling statistic about health in America. Life expectancy is now down for the first time in more than 2 decades. We're not living as long. But as the life expectancy drops, government health care rises. Are they related? Here to weigh in is Dr. Nicole Saphier. Thanks, Dr. Saphier, for being here again.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. So why do you think that is? Why is life expectancy going down?
Well, it is true. The best measure of wellness of a country is looking at the life expectancy. And for the first time since the early 1990s, we're seeing a decline. And in 1993 is when we were dealing with the AIDS crisis and all of these flu deaths. And what we're seeing now is completely different reasons for our life expectancy to go down. As a breast radiologist, I'm extremely happy to say that cancer deaths have gone down, which really confirms what we're doing with our increased cancer screening and treatments are really having an impact. Unfortunately, many other of our leading causes of death have all worsened, including cardiovascular disease, stroke, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes. And if you notice, something startling about that is all of those risks may be drastically reduced just with behavioral and lifestyle modifications.
I thought with Obamacare, with more people having insurance, everyone has to have insurance unless you opt out and you have to pay for that. So more people have insurance. Wouldn't you think life expectancy would go up? Are they related?
Some people may think that they are. What we have seen with the implementation of the ACA is that a lot more people, millions of Americans, have gained health insurance. That has drastically reduced health care debt. Now, the data is a little slow to come out showing if we're actually improving health and wellness. It's just not there yet. So I can't say for sure. What has happened with the implementation of the ACA is we're in the midst of a physician burnout and shortage crises due to all of these newly insured patients.
I want to ask you about the Cures Act because that passed in Washington last week. Billions of dollars to cure cancer, which sounds like a great thing. Are you in favor of that?
The Cures Act is a wonderful thing in the sense that it's the government showing that they really are dedicated to improving health care in America. They're funding a lot more mental health services, which we are in desperate need of. It's also wonderful that they are so dedicated in curing cancer and evolving all these new treatments. As we've seen, our cancer rates of death have gone down, which is wonderful. Unfortunately, what's happening is we're taking a lot of the funds from the very necessary public health programs like our tobacco and obesity, education, as well as vaccinations to fund this. You know, it was a quote I read once that said, the best preparation for our future is doing the best today. And what we need to be doing to improve healthcare in America is we need to foster the doctor-patient relationship. We need to make our doctors happier. We need to treat them better. But we also need to start holding patients accountable for some of their lifestyle choices that are negatively affecting their health.
All right, Dr. Sapphire, thank you so much. Great information. We have a Fox News alert. The president-elect just made it official. Rex Tillerson is his pick for Secretary of State. What does Laura Ingraham think about that? She's here at the top of the hour.
Well, the sun's coming up there in West Allis, Wisconsin, and Pete Hegseth has been there.
He's not even looking at the camera anymore,
Wait, is he still working on the food from the big...
He's still working on his breakfast,
yes.
Plus he's wearing a J. Crew plaid shirt.
Wait, so it's not an Untuck It shirt?
No, J. Crew.
You should buy Untuck It, mister.
It's not an Untuck It shirt.
You should buy the people who
Brian's
advertise
obsessed
on
with Untuck
Fox.
It. This is just a... I know this is just a regular J. Crew shirt. Sorry, I'll square that away for you. All
right, I know what I'm getting you for Christmas.
How about this shirt right here?
What's it say?
I like that.
This is what everyone should get for Christmas. The Basket of Deplorables Proud Member. So I'm here with friends. We're talking politics, enjoying pancakes. It's outstanding.
Fantastic. All right, another hour out at Johnny V's in West Allis with
That's
Pete.
because we're having breakfast with friends.
We are indeed.
It's very rare when you can see somebody's expense report being devoured right in front of you. There you go. You know exactly what he's putting in for.
Yeah, but $18 over a 3-hour telecast, that's
all he gets.
Good value.
That's
Wait,
why you're on the road.
how long do you have to eat it within to become free, when it's free?
Well, I'm kind of in overtime right now. I'm in overtime. I'm taking a little extra time because we're talking, but I got about another 15 minutes.
All right.
So I'm working.
You can do it.
All right. Meanwhile.
All right. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Brian does not have you still don't have any faith in him, right?
No, I don't. And he, you know what? He's just too fit to eat that much that early.
Sure.
Because peristalsis takes over. You know what that is?
I remember hearing that in school.
Squeezing of the esophagus until... Right.
Oh, my gosh.
Great.
Okay.
Let's go ahead. Laura Ingram's going to be with us shortly, but first let's give you the big news. It has become official. Fox News has learned that Donald Trump will tap Exxon chief Rex Tillerson as his Secretary of State. There's also a story out, according to CBS, that apparently Rick Perry, who forgot the Department of Energy back in 2012.
Actually, Fox News is reporting it too.
Okay. He, it sounds like, is going to actually head up the Energy Department as well.
He is so he outstripped Joe Manchin, who also interviewed for that position reportedly at the Democratic Senator from West Virginia. He was there yesterday. And Governor Perry and Donald Trump have hit it off after initially locking horns like anybody else. And this is one of those situations where they've said politics is politics. You call on me, I'll do it. So he's going to be Secretary of Energy, and man, he knows that sector.
Well, guess who knows a lot about politics? Laura Ingraham does. She is the editor-in-chief of LifeZette and our friend of the show here on Fox and Friends. Laura, what do you think of these two announcements?
I think the Tillerson pick is
frankly, pretty genius. Think about this. Because he's someone who is not ideological, which frankly right now in our foreign policy I think is really important. We have a lot of pragmatic decisions to make in our foreign policy, but both with the way that we deal with the Middle East, with China, and with Russia. So the idea that these career politicians, some of them are really upset that Rex Tillerson hasn't been a career diplomat, I think to myself, we've had a lot of career diplomats, and some of them have made catastrophic decisions. Sure. And given advice that has frankly been has proven to be quite calamitous for the United States. I think it might be a time for this country to have someone in that position who knows the players, who knows the field, and is going to, he doesn't need to prove anything. He's already been the CEO of the top oil company in the world. He knows pretty much, every major country that we're going to be dealing with. And that is incredibly useful for this nation. So the career folks, it's like they're worried that their secret world is going to be invaded by someone who might come in and just show them all up.
You know, Laura, though, that right now you watch the legacy media and there are all the concerns. Well, this guy who's had dealings all around the world, he's friends with Vladimir Putin. He got that award. Of course, he got the award because he wound up getting the drilling rights under the Arctic in Russia for Exxon, and then dealt Exxon in with the Russian National Oil Company. But that fits right into the narrative right now about the ties to Russia, and oh, by the way, Russia rigged things so that Donald Trump would win the election.
Well, there's a lot to say about that, but number one, the idea that you're successfully getting Russia to give up some of their territory for drilling that will help millions of American investors and pension funds and mutual funds, individual investors, and the employees in the United States of ExxonMobil. Okay, that I don't get. I don't get that criticism. It seems that's really smart, number one. Number two, the idea that he's going to be criticized, Trump, for having this man, Rex Tillerson, in this position when Barack Obama decided to push through this Iran deal that now allows Boeing to sell 70 or 80 commercial aircraft to the Islamic Republic. You could argue that both ways, I understand, but knowing what we know about the Islamic Republic, the largest state sponsor of terrorism, we've decided to trust them with this flawed Iran deal. And Obama was, crowing about how this was going to be good for world stability. And now Tillerson is the problem. I just find this to be ridiculous. When we needed the left to be really serious and helpful with the former Soviet Union, when we needed them back in the 80s, they were frankly siding against American interests. Now that Donald Trump's president, suddenly they're all tough on Russia. I mean, it's just hilarious.
I will say this. Condoleezza Rice has just put this up on Facebook. Rex Tillerson is an excellent choice for Secretary of State. He will bring to the post the most remarkable and broad international experience, a deep understanding of the global economy, and a belief in America's special role in the world. I know Rex as a successful businessman and patriot. He will represent the interests and values of the United States with resolve. That's from the establishment, from inside the State Department to the outside, and that was confirming basically the rumor that she recommended him.
Well, I think that both she and Baker and Cheney, they all like Tillerson. I'm not someone who says, oh, because the triumvirate of the Bush administration or the Bushes supports him, it's a bad thing. One thing I have to say, Trump has had, President-elect Trump has had really good judgment. You see all the intrigue at Trump Tower and the video of everyone going in. But you really look at most of these picks, I think he's had excellent judgment. He's taken his time on the one that I think was most important, Secretary of State. He put in fabulous people at Defense. I think he's going to have more announcements this week. I think it's an interesting and frankly diverse experience that we're seeing in this cabinet. Contrary to what you're hearing from, the New York Times and all the rest. It's pretty impressive so far.
I wanted to ask you about this. Hillary Clinton's top political advisor, John Podesta, we read all of those emails, said that the campaign is supporting an effort by members of the Electoral College to request an intelligence briefing on the foreign intervention in the presidential election. What do you think about that?
Before they cast their vote.
I mean, This is out now bordering on just utterly sad, pathetic, predictable. There is an inability on the left, on Hillary supporters, to accept that they lost this election. They lost, and they lost handily in the Electoral College. So the first thing they wanted to do is say that the Electoral College has to be done away with. They wanted to say that. Then they wanted to say that it was Comey's fault for putting that letter out to Congress. Then they wanted to say that it was Russia involved in the election. Anything except their ideas failed. And they have failed the Rust Belt of this country and the manufacturing base of this country terribly. And the political correctness, the identity politics, people are just tired of this, and they can't face that. So what they really have to do, and I think what this is really about, they have to give these activist groups something at Christmas time. They have to say, look, we're still fighting for you. We still have fight left in us against the Trump machine. So now it's the Electoral College has to get the briefing. I don't really care if they get a briefing or not, but Donald Trump's going to be president of the United States, and what they have to do is raise a lot of money over at the Center for American Progress, Media Matters, all these other Soros-connected groups to show that they're still relevant in a nation that I think wants to move on.
When is George Soros going to be tired of losing money? Meanwhile, you talk about things that the Democrats are trying to do, and that is get together and get some group therapy going. Mayor de Blasio, our incredible mayor here in New York, said this in a letter to his employees. Many New Yorkers may be feeling distressed or vulnerable following the election results. We have seen the concerns expressed on social media, and we are monitoring them closely, and they're going to provide some assets for people to tap into. So if you're feeling bad, Laura, you could come here and just tap into some of our social services.
You know what? When I'm walking to Fox and I'm up with you guys in the New York bureau at Fox, I feel like I need a therapy dog to get me from my hotel to Fox because of the number of poor homeless people that are just strewn about the streets now this time of year. So de Blasio, again, I think it's look at this shiny object over here so you don't focus on the fact that New York is at a gridlock of homelessness, increased crime, and let's not even speak of what happened to poor 7th Avenue where you can't drive downtown anymore because of the pedestrian walkways and the bike lanes. Sorry, I hate all that too. So I mean, again, they're trying to show that they still have some fight in them, and they're representing people. But in the end, either people's lives are getting better in a city like New York, or they're getting overtaxed, overregulated, and it's just not as pleasant a place to live as it used to be. So I think that's a lot about what's going on. And how are we the country that took the beaches of Normandy if we need a therapy dog every time things don't go our way?
No kidding. Well, the good news is for New Yorkers, which, by the way, New York went 80%, New York City did, to Donald Trump's opponent, Hillary Clinton. But the mayor has reassured New Yorkers that he is going to stand up to that bully, Donald Trump. Whatever he tries to do in Washington, D.C., Mayor de Blasio is going to resist.
Yeah, after 11 a.m., he likes to sleep in and then go work out.
Oh, my God. Now, again, New York is such a wonderful, interesting, vibrant place. And I have to say there are a lot of friends of mine in New York who are not Trump fans, who are Democrats, who are not at all wild about de Blasio, to put it kindly, this time of year. They're like fed up with him. And this just adds to the narrative of what a goofball he's become. I mean, he's this tall, looming figure, but a complete and utter goofball. And none of this makes anyone's lives better. None of it solves the problems that New York is facing today. And they're going to tax people out of the city. They're going to drive people out of the city. You're only going to be, if you're a Chinese billionaire or a Russian billionaire or some other type of multimillionaire, you can live in New York. But so all the other people, they got to move out of town. It's too expensive.
Well, I live in New Jersey. Just
right.
Oh, see?
I live on Long Island. There you go. Driven
Ainsley's here.
Yeah, it is expensive.
Ainsley's here.
All right,
I live
Laura,
in my closet.
Have a wonderful day. Go edit Life Set and go do your radio show in 47 minutes.
All right, I've got to go compose myself. Fido, come here. Come here.
Oh, yeah. We can send you some Play-Doh and some coloring books.
Oh, yeah, no, it's exactly. Light Bright. I like the Light Bright set from the 70s.
Right.
That's what
Absolutely.
I like.
Very cheery.
And then play Battleship.
Merry Christmas, Laura. Thank you.
See you guys.
All right. I do love the smell of Play-Doh. And oftentimes I'll stare at it and go, should I be the one to break its shape? Right?
There you go. All right. Meanwhile, have you heard it's President Obama's new criticism of the president-elect?
All right, President-elect Donald Trump had his man for Secretary of State. He has made his selection.
Moments ago, Mr. Trump officially announcing his pick. His name is Rex Tillerson.
That's right. Robert Moses, live from Fox 5 in New York City, is just outside Trump Tower with more about the guy who could be our chief diplomat. Robert, good morning.
Steve Ainsley and Brian, good morning to you. Yes, Rex Tillerson, 64 years old, a married father of four, has been the CEO of ExxonMobil since 2006. He's been with the company since 1975, but he has no government experience. He could face an uphill battle when it comes to his confirmation. Already a very busy morning here at Trump Tower. Besides that announcement, we have this as well. Sources telling Fox News this morning that Trump has also chosen former Texas Governor Rick Perry to be his Secretary of Energy. Perry visited Trump here yesterday. You may recall that Perry had a very memorable gaffe back in 2011 during a presidential debate. He was asked which departments he would eliminate, and he forgot to mention the Department of Energy. Well, ironically enough, that is the very department that he will now be tapped to lead. Also yesterday, Trump met with former Hewlett-Packard CEO Carly Fiorina. She very famously clashed with Trump during the primaries, but she is rumored to be in the running for the Director of National Intelligence. Trump is here in New York this morning. Later on today, he will leave for West Allis, Wisconsin. That's where he will hold one of his rallies tonight on his thank you tour. Later on this week, he makes stops in Hershey, Pennsylvania, as well as Orlando, Florida, and Mobile, Alabama. But already a very busy morning here at Trump Tower. Steve Ainsley and Brian, back to you.
All right, Robert Moses live on Fifth Avenue. Robert, thank you. Meanwhile, paging Colin Kaepernick, a dozen people just arrested for refusing to stand for their national anthem. I'm sure the oppressed quarterback is thanking his lucky stars and stripes. He lives in America, not that country.
He also likes Cuba.
A neighborhood nativity scene turned crime scene after someone kidnapped the Virgin Mary.
Ooh.
The homeowners who put up the display every year now turning a lot of heads by posting this sign. It says, "Please help, Mary missing. Joseph doesn't want to be a single dad." What do you think about that? Send us your emails.
Well, too bad they took it. Just have to say that.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, it's the heart of the Rust Belt, and Wisconsin simultaneously has not voted Republican for nearly 3 decades until this past presidential election.
And today, the president-elect Donald Trump, he's going to be thanking them as part of his thank you tour in West Allis, Wisconsin.
And here's Pete Hegseth now. He is now eating amongst the people at Johnny V's in West Allis. Hey, Pete.
Hey, good morning. I was defeated by the challenge, but the breakfast here is great. The people are even better. Yeah, no one really ever finishes that pancake bonanza. But I'm here, ma'am. What's your name?
Linda Sorensen.
Linda, and you're a Trump supporter. Look at this shirt that Linda's wearing here. I love Mike Pence. I don't got to see where you get one of those. So you clearly are a fan of Mr. Trump. How do you think he's doing so far?
He's doing fantastic. He's actually exceeding my expectations right now and how quickly he's getting his cabinet together. Every pick I think he's done so far makes sense, and it's really exciting to see this all evolve, and I'm really excited to see what happens after January 20th.
There was a recount in Wisconsin. You were an observer. Did you observe any irregularities or pretty straightforward?
Straightforward, no irregularities at all.
And there's a rally today. Are you going there?
I am going right after this. I'm getting in line, so be there or be square, people.
Mr. Trump, you've got one here. She's on her way right now. Ma'am, how you doing? Good morning.
Great.
Excellent. Except for that Green Bay sweatshirt, I really love you. Just kidding. Thanks for being here this morning. You and your husband's got a fantastic shirt on as well. What do you think of Mr. Trump and how he's doing so far?
I just think he's wonderful. I was not a supporter at the beginning, but I sure am now.
And what brought you to be a supporter of him?
I like his plans. I like what his first choice was Mike Pence, and I just think that was such a wise thing to balance everything out.
What's the first thing you hope he gets done when he enters the White House?
I'm not going to say the wall, but
you can say the wall.
The wall.
The wall appears to be a popular choice here. Sir, what do you think? First thing you'd like to see him get done?
Oh, please, Obamacare. Get rid of Obamacare. That would be wonderful. That's the medicine the country needs.
Interesting. And why do you think so?
Well, the costs are fantastic. The deductibles are unbelievable. People can't afford it. I don't see what good it does for anybody.
Absolutely. And the recount that happened here, do you think it did any good for anybody?
Yeah, Trump got more votes. I wish they got to keep counting. He'll get a plurality real quick.
So you can see a lot of folks tracking very closely the political scene and how Mr. Trump is doing, including these two gentlemen that just came in. Good morning. Thanks for being here. Sir, what's your name and what do you do?
Jim Crater, Real Estate and Development.
Real Estate and Development. Thanks for coming out this morning. Breakfast is great, isn't it? Outstanding. What do you think of Mr. Trump and how he's doing so far?
We like him. Both my brother and I are supporters, and he was an early on supporter. I took a while to get on the bus, but now that I'm on the bus, I'm...
Who did you like first, and why did you get on the bus?
You know, I like Carly and I like Ben, both for different reasons, and but Mr. Trump melded those personalities and some of their ideas into his platform. So.
And as an early supporter, what do you hope Mr. Trump gets done right out the gate?
Well, like the other gentleman said, to get rid of the Obamacare, and I hope he starts straightening out the banks, you know, for all these regulations that they put on since for the last 8 years. Mm-hmm. We need to straighten that out so people can start getting money again, you know.
Absolutely, sir. And what do you do, by the way?
I'm a contractor.
Contractor. You feel like business is going to improve with the environment he creates?
Oh, definitely, because we develop also, and we got some properties that we cannot even get spec loans because the banks won't, you know, so we can start building again, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much for the time, both of you. A lot of optimism here at Johnny V's, but disappointment in my inability to eat and eat a lot quickly, which I did fail at. Otherwise, these two, you're both going to the rally tonight as well, correct? So a lot of folks fired up to go to the rally that Mr. Trump's going to be holding tonight, where he continues to thank this country, including this state, which hasn't gone to Republicans for a long time.
Hey, Pete, we're tired of you winning everything you try.
There you go.
So I don't really mind that you failed at that.
I failed. I failed straight out.
All right. People of Wisconsin, give him a hug, all of you. All right.
We'll give you some Play-Doh and some coloring books, too, if you need it.
All right, 22 minutes now.
That's an hour and a half away from Oshkosh, which is where Heather Nauert's mom is from.
And they make jeans there, right?
Well, they used to make
Corduroy.
jeans there.
No, yeah.
Oshkosh Bagosh. Yeah, I've got my
Oshkosh
family all out there. The Nauerts and the Rasmussens. Good morning to all of you. Got a couple headlines to bring you. Hope you're off to a great day, by the way. Swiping his successor, President Obama criticizing Mr. Trump's remarks that he doesn't need daily intelligence briefings. Listen. Well, earlier, Mr. Trump's incoming White House chief of staff joined us with his reaction.
This is a little bit ridiculous and over the top. Look, he's very prepared. We spend all day, every day in his office, every half an hour meeting with someone different.
Well, this weekend, Mr. Trump telling Fox News he doesn't need to be told the same thing every single day, but he wants to be informed when something changes. Well, quite the scene on a Delta Airlines flight as a woman is arrested and dragged down the aisle like a rag doll after she skipped check-in. The shocking moment caught on camera as police officers pull her down the aisle by her ankles and her wrists. That flight was on its way from San Diego to Detroit. One passenger reporting that the woman was actually tased after she allegedly stormed past gate agents and then onto the plane while ranting about needing space in those overhead bins. Colin Kaepernick has been ripped for kneeling during our national anthem, but if he did that in India, well, he would be in handcuffs. A dozen people in that country are now under arrest for not standing during their anthem at movie theaters. Last month, that country's Supreme Court ruled that all theaters must play the anthem before screenings. Everyone is required to stand unless they physically cannot. The court says it's about promoting patriotism.
Some quick headlines for you. 2 major recalls before you head out holiday shopping today. First, Cuisinart recalling millions of food processors. The blades can break off into your food. Dozens of people reporting mouth injuries and even broken teeth. The food processors were sold from 1995 to December of last year.
That's a lot.
Cuisinart is offering free replacement blades. And recall number 2, Yankee Candles. The company says the glass jars in their Luminous collection can crack and they can cut you. You can return any of the recalled scents for a full refund. Wow. So don't get caught, both of us.
All right. President-elect Trump says he promised a new deal for African Americans who's been suffering under Democratic leadership. And today, President-elect Trump has scheduled a meeting to discuss fixing the big issues they face, along with some big names in that meeting. Transition team member Pastor Darrell Scott will be at that big get-together at Trump Tower. And more importantly, you're here, Pastor. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I mean, it's overdue. I've been trying to get in for so long.
And
you keep telling me no, now you let me in.
You're always welcome here.
So, Pastor, tell me, what do you hope to say or hear today?
Well, actually, I'm spearheading this meeting. Mr. Trump is very committed in his outreach toward the African-American community. He made campaign promises. He said, what do you have to lose? And what he was saying when he said, what do you have to lose, he was actually saying, give me a chance. And, you know, and as I stated to you, there's a large number of African Americans that did not turn out for Hillary Clinton. They didn't vote for Trump. They didn't vote against Mr. Trump. These are the ones that are saying, we're going to give you a chance. And so in continuing his desire to make good on his campaign promises, and he and I dialogue about this, we've had ongoing conversation. I have NFL Hall of Famer Jim Brown that's going to be with me today. He, Ray Lewis, and others, Curtis Martin and others. Jim Brown has a program. It's called the American program. It's been in effect 25 years. And it addresses most of the major concerns or the major issues that face the African-American community now. Entrepreneurship, education, gangs, violence, a number of other components. And so me being familiar with the program and me being familiar with Mr. Trump's desire to help the black community, I think it's a good match. I think it's a good marriage. So we're bringing Jim's coming in today. We're going to discuss the American program. My desire is that the administration gets behind it rather than try to create a new vehicle to enhance the African-American community. We have a vehicle. We just need to put some gas in it. Sure. Put some gas in this vehicle, and we can drive this vehicle, and it has all of the major components. If you go to american.org, it has all the components necessary.
We covered it, and we did it in prison. We went into the prisons, and we saw that they were doing. You're saying the program is migrated out of that.
Yeah, it's not simply a prison reacclimation program. It deals with minority entrepreneurship. It deals with gang violence. It deals with education. That's a major component of it. Drug use and abuse, drug resistance. And once again, all of these things that we see, and we want to even take Chicago as our ground zero. We want to hit the ground running, get some boots on the ground in Chicago and deal with this very real problem that exists. I mean, African Americans are dying in a disproportionate number. In Chicago, it's like a war zone there in certain parts of the city. And so we're going to approach that very proactively rather than being reactive, which is what it seems like our last 8 years. That's what we've been getting. Reaction, but no proaction.
You know, as a Christian, I know you pastor a big church in Cleveland. What is your message? Like, how do we come together? The race relations in this country now, I feel like we're so just separated. And as a Christian, I want everyone to love everyone and come together. And I know that seems, you know, fluff and bubbles and all of that. But what is your message to Donald Trump to get us together again so that we can become one country again?
Well, first of all, as a Christian, I believe the book of Acts, the 15th chapter, the 26th verse says, for God has made of one blood all nations for to dwell upon the earth. So we're all family, the human family. So in saying that, our nation has been fragmented, especially during this political process. The political process, I believe the race card was played against Donald Trump a lot simply because it appeared to be effective until it got old, that racial narrative. So we need to get past that racial divide, and we can come together and realize that we are all citizens of one country, and we need to unite. That's why we have the National Diversity Coalition. Michael Cohen and I, the EVP and Special Counsel with Donald Trump, we founded the National Diversity Coalition together. And we have so many different ethnic groups represented in this coalition, and we're all working together for the benefit of the American public. And Mr. Trump is behind it.
Well,
Trump is behind it 100%. He's given us his 100% backing.
Well, I tell you what, Pastor Scott, thank you very much. We know you got a very busy day. Thanks for stopping by. Before you stop by,
thanks for having me.
Thanks for what you're doing.
And maybe we get Jim Brown in here tomorrow.